Have you ever met a woman who doesn't say much, doesn't try to prove anything, but somehow you can't stop thinking about her? She doesn't chase attention, she doesn't demand it. But when she walks into a room, something shifts. People pause, they notice, they feel her presence. That's not a coincidence. It's not luck. It's not charm in the way the world usually defines it. It's something far deeper. Something earned. Something carved into her spirit over time. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, once said that the most powerful force in a person isn't their mind. It's their individuated self. That is, the version of themselves that has broken free from society's noise, from roles, from ego, and become real. Today, on Cognit Haven, we're diving into that quiet, captivating power that makes a mature woman truly irresistible. Not because she's trying to be, but because she already is. This isn't about makeup, or fashion, or flirting. This is about soul work. This is about the 6 rare habits that turn a woman into someone unforgettable, someone you don't just admire, you respect. So stay with me till the very end, because this might not only help you understand someone else, it might help you see yourself in a way you never have before. Let's begin. She doesn't try to be liked. That's the first thing. She isn't molded by the room she walks into. She doesn't shrink to make others comfortable, and she doesn't puff herself up to feel important. She just is. She doesn't need external validation because she has something far more rare: inner approval. You see, most people, men or women, are driven by the question, am I enough? They try to impress. They try to entertain. They try to be chosen. But a mature woman doesn't ask that question anymore. Not because she found the answer from someone else, but because she stopped asking it altogether. She no longer sees herself through someone else's eyes. She stopped performing. She's started being. And that quiet confidence, it's irresistible. Carl Jung believed that the process of growth is actually a return, not to something new, but to something ancient within us. The mature woman has returned to herself. That's her first habit. She doesn't seek to be liked. She seeks to be honest. And people are drawn to her like gravity. Here's the second habit. She listens. Not just casually, not politely. She listens with her whole self. And in a world obsessed with being heard, a woman who listens stands out. Most people are just waiting for their turn to speak. They nod, smile, pretend they care, just long enough to pull the spotlight back to themselves. But the mature woman, she's different. She gives you her eyes, her attention, her presence. And when you speak to her, you feel it. You feel that your words matter. She's not listening for flaws in your logic. She's not preparing her reply while you talk. She's not judging. She's witnessing. And that changes people, because being heard deeply, being seen without interruption, that's something we all long for, but rarely receive. She gives it freely. Why? Because she's not trying to win. She's trying to understand. She doesn't need to dominate a conversation to feel powerful. She knows that real strength is found in stillness, in restraint, in choosing silence when silence says more than words ever could. That's the kind of listening that changes relationships, that softens hearts, that breaks down walls. And that's why she's irresistible, because she brings peace, not noise. Let's go even deeper. She doesn't chase love. This habit is the hardest to learn, because it often comes after heartbreak. She has loved before, deeply, fully, naively, maybe. She's given too much, trusted too easily, waited too long. She knows the sting of being taken for granted. She knows what it feels like to give her all and be met with half-hearted affection. But she's also done something most people never do. She's learned from it. She's healed, not by building walls, but by building standards. She doesn't chase love anymore. Not because she's cold, but because she finally understands that love built on chasing isn't love, it's fear. It's insecurity. It's lack. And she's not lacking anything anymore. Carl Jung often wrote that loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the absence of connection. A mature woman has felt that loneliness. She knows the ache of being surrounded by people who don't see her. So now, she waits. She doesn't beg. She doesn't perform. She doesn't lower herself to be chosen, because she already chose herself. And when a woman reaches that level of emotional maturity, something shifts. She becomes someone others want to chase. Because she's not trying to be loved. She is love. Rooted, grounded, whole. That's not arrogance. That's healing. And it shows. There's a fourth habit. It's subtle, but maybe the most powerful of all. She doesn't react. She responds. She's been through enough in life to know not everything deserves her energy. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every disappointment deserves a meltdown. She has emotional discipline. Not the fake kind, where she pretends everything is fine while dying inside, but the real kind. The kind that comes from self-awareness. She has learned to pause, to breathe, to feel, without drowning in her emotions. Because she has met her shadows. She's faced the parts of herself that once scared her, and now, she's not so easily shaken. Carl Jung called this the integration of the shadow. The moment you stop running from your darkness and start owning it. The mature woman has done that work. So when chaos comes, when someone disrespects her, when the world shakes around her, she doesn't explode. She doesn't retreat. She responds from her center. And that calm, that grounded energy is irresistible because it makes others feel safe, not judged, not blamed, just safe. And in today's world, safety is the most attractive thing of all. She doesn't fight to be understood. That's the fifth habit. And it might be the hardest one of all, because we all want to be understood, don't we? We want to be seen, heard, validated. We want someone to say, I get you. We want our pain to make sense to someone, our silence to be noticed, our intentions to be recognized. But a mature woman, she no longer needs it. She doesn't need to explain every detail of who she is. She doesn't crave being validated anymore, not because she's given up, but because she's grown past the need to prove herself. She's stopped defending her softness. She's stopped justifying her standards. She's stopped trying to explain her healing. And the truth is, that's what makes her so compelling. Because when someone no longer fights for approval, they start radiating freedom. You can see it in her posture, in her voice, in her choices. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't over-apologize. She doesn't try to make herself smaller just so others can feel bigger. She speaks when she chooses. She listens when she means it. And when she walks away, she doesn't leave chaos behind her, just silence. Carl Jung once said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This woman has claimed that privilege. She no longer tries to be liked by the world, because she has fallen in love with her own peace. And there is nothing more powerful than a woman who has made peace with being misunderstood. Let's pause and ask something most people avoid. Why do we chase people who hurt us? Why do we bend, twist, sacrifice parts of ourselves just to keep someone in our life? The answer is difficult, but a mature woman has faced it head on, because she's done it too. She's kept toxic friendships for years. She's stayed in relationships that made her feel invisible. She's accepted crumbs and called it love, but not anymore. Here's the sixth and final habit. She doesn't betray herself to belong. Let that settle in, because this habit isn't just rare. It's revolutionary. You see, most people are terrified of being alone, so they trade parts of their soul just to feel included. They lower their voice. They say yes when they mean no. They laugh at things that hurt them. They accept treatment that leaves them hollow. But a mature woman, She no longer betrays her intuition to keep the peace. She no longer sacrifices her inner truth to avoid rejection. She's learned the most sacred lesson of all. Being alone in truth is better than being surrounded in betrayal. Carl Jung believed that the soul's deepest wound is abandonment, especially self-abandonment. And this woman has chosen, finally, to stop abandoning herself. She honors her needs. She protects her peace. She forgives herself when she slips. And she stands up, firmly, when someone crosses her boundaries, not because she wants control, but because she now knows she's worthy of love that doesn't cost her dignity. That's what makes her so magnetic. She doesn't need you. She chooses you. And that choice, it's pure, it's real, it's rare, and it makes people value her in a way they can't even explain. Let's go even deeper into the soul of this woman. She no longer fears being too much. She's no longer shrinking herself to be palatable. She's no longer apologizing for being powerful, intuitive, or emotionally complex. She's no longer asking permission to be herself, because life has taught her something most people never learn. The right people will never be overwhelmed by your truth. She's not for everyone, and she doesn't need to be. Carl Jung would call this self-realization, not perfection, not popularity, but wholeness, the integration of light and shadow, the knowing of when to hold on and when to let go, the courage to walk away, not in anger, but in clarity. This kind of woman is often misunderstood, sometimes feared, sometimes labeled cold. But the truth? She's not cold. She's clear. And clarity is the sharpest form of grace. She chooses slowness. In a world that's always rushing, always scrolling, always demanding more, she chooses to slow down. She doesn't panic when she's alone. She doesn't fill the silence with noise. She doesn't chase what's next just to escape the now. She's learned that depth takes time. Healing takes time. Trust takes time. Love takes time. She doesn't settle for surface-level anything. Not conversations, not connections, not purpose. She goes deep, and people feel that when they're around her, that she's fully there with them. Not distracted, not impatient. That kind of presence feels like water in a desert. You can't fake it, you can't buy it, you have to become it. And that's what she's done. Slowly, painfully, intentionally. She has become the kind of woman she needed when she was younger. And now, she gives that same grounding energy to everyone she meets. That's the beauty of it all. She didn't get this way overnight. She was broken once too. She doubted herself. She compromised. She begged. She cried over people who didn't even look back. She made the same mistake. Again, and again, and again. Until one day, something broke, but not her. Her illusions, her people-pleasing, her fears. And from the ashes, she began again. Slowly, silently, sacredly. She rebuilt herself. Not in the image of someone else's expectations, but in the image of her truth. Carl Jung would call this individuation the sacred work of the second half of life. Not youth, not proving, not performing, but deep soul integration. That's what you're witnessing when you meet her. You're not just seeing a woman, you're seeing a soul that has come home. She doesn't chase closure anymore. That's the quiet habit no one sees, but everyone feels. She no longer begs people to explain why they hurt her, no longer sits in confusion, hoping for an apology that may never come, no longer exhausts herself trying to make sense of someone else's chaos. Because now, she understands that peace doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes, it comes with acceptance. She stopped knocking on closed doors. She stopped rewriting her worth just because someone else couldn't see it. That doesn't mean she's numb. It means she's free. Carl Jung once said, Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. She has awakened. She now sees that some people were not meant to stay. They were meant to awaken something within her. That awakening, it gave birth to one of her most irresistible qualities. She protects her energy like it's sacred, because now she knows it is. She's not afraid to be soft anymore. You'd think life would have hardened her. You'd expect her to have a wall around her heart, armor on her soul. But no, she's done the braver thing. She chose to stay soft in a world that tries to make you numb. Her empathy isn't weakness, it's a weapon. Her kindness isn't naivety, it's power under control. She can read a room with her heart, sense dishonesty without a word, feel sadness behind someone's smile. But she doesn't carry what isn't hers anymore. She's learned how to hold space without being consumed. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's what makes her unforgettable. She walks away quietly, not to be mysterious, not to manipulate, but because she values peace more than attention. She doesn't slam doors. She doesn't make scenes. She simply observes when her spirit is not honored and exits the room her soul doesn't belong in. That kind of detachment doesn't come from ego. It comes from healing. It takes strength to hold your dignity when everything inside you wants to scream. It takes wisdom to walk away when your heart still wants to stay. But she's done it, again and again, until it became second nature. And now, that quiet exit, that calm goodbye, it echoes louder than any speech could. Let's bring everything together now. The 6 habits that make a mature woman irresistible are not about performing for others. They're about returning to herself. 1. She doesn't try to be liked. She's rooted in truth. 2. She listens with depth, not for response. 3. She doesn't chase love. She becomes it. 4. She responds, not reacts. 5. She no longer fights to be understood. 6. She refuses to betray herself to belong. And in all of this, she becomes a woman of mystery, strength, and softness, all at once. You can't explain it, you can't copy it, you can't fake it, because it's not in what she does, it's in what she no longer needs to do. Her presence heals, her silence teaches, her absence is felt. That is what makes her irresistible, not to everyone, but to those who are awake enough to recognize it. Carl Jung believed that when a person stops conforming to the crowd, when they return to the source of who they really are, they become magnetically authentic. That's who she is now. She's no longer a role. She's no longer a version. She's no longer trying. She just is. And ironically, the more she stands in her truth, the more the world turns toward her with curiosity, desire, and admiration. But she doesn't need it, because she is no longer trying to be chosen. She has already chosen herself. This has been Cognit Haven, where psychology meets the soul. If this resonated with you, remember this: the most irresistible energy in the world is self-respect.